So, check this out. Every single day you probably walk past a treasure trove and don't even realize it. I'm talking about this stuff right here, this sad-looking pile of splintered pallet wood, this lonely 2x4 sitting by a construction dumpster. To most people this is just trash. Garbage. Something to be hauled away to a landfill. But to us, this is raw potential. This is the starting point for something awesome. Because what if I told you that with a little bit of creativity and less than 20 bucks, we could turn this pile of forgotten wood into something not just useful but straight up beautiful? Now before you go full-on dumpster diver, let's talk strategy, because this isn't a free-for-all. Sourcing wood safely and legally is key. First rule: always ask. See a construction site with a tempting scrap pile. Find the site manager. A friendly, "Hey, mind if I take some of your scrap wood?" goes a long way. Second, know your local rules. Some cities have specific regulations about what you can and can't take from the curb. A quick Google search can save you a headache. And finally, get to know your wood. Is it pressure treated? You can usually tell by the greenish tint or little incisions. That's a no-go for indoor projects. Is it hardwood or softwood? A simple fingernail test can give you a clue. Today we're going on a mission. We're going to take some of the most overlooked, unloved pieces of wood we can find, add a few dollars worth of hardware and finish, and execute a complete and total transformation. And our first project is a perfect example. We're starting with a couple of grimy, nail-ridden pallet boards that frankly look like they've seen better days. But stick with me, because in just a little bit, this is going to become a piece of high-end home decor that you would easily pay over $100 for in a store. And we're gonna do it all for less than the price of a couple of movie tickets. Let's get to it. Alright, so here's the big reveal for our first project. Feast your eyes on this. Can you believe this started its life as those two dusty, splintered pallet boards we found by the side of the road? The transformation is, in my nerdy opinion, absolutely epic. We've taken something destined for the landfill and turned it into a functional piece of art. It's got clean lines, a beautiful finish that makes the natural wood grain pop, and it solves a real-world problem, the dreaded tangled necklace monster that lives on every dresser. This isn't just a piece of wood anymore, it's a statement. So how did we pull this off for under 20 bucks? This is the best part. Let's break down the science of the savings. The wood itself? Absolutely free. $0. The biggest cost was this pack of brass hooks, which came in at $7.99 for a pack of 20, way more than we even needed. Then, we have the sandpaper. I bought a multi-pack of different grits for $5, and we barely used a fraction of it, so we have plenty left for future projects. The final cost was a small sample can of wood stain and sealer, which was a grand total of $4.50. If you do the math, that brings our grand total to a whopping $17.49. For a custom piece that looks this good, that is an absolute win. The process itself was surprisingly simple, but it's all about the prep work. The first, and arguably most important step, was denailing and cleaning. I used a pry bar and a hammer to carefully remove all the old, rusty nails. Then came the deep clean. A stiff brush, some soapy water, and a bit of elbow grease took off years of grime and dirt, instantly revealing the beautiful wood hiding underneath. You have to let it dry completely, which is the perfect time to go grab a snack. This step is non-negotiable. You can't get a good finish on a dirty surface. It's like trying to paint a car that's covered in mud. The physics just doesn't work. Once it was clean and dry, it was time to make it smooth. This is where the magic really starts to happen. I started with a coarse, 80 grit sandpaper to knock down all the rough spots and splintered edges, then moved to a medium 120 grit to smooth it out, and finally finished with a fine 220 grit sandpaper. This progressive sanding is what gives you that buttery smooth, professional feeling finish. After sanding, I cut the boards to size, arranged them in this cool geometric pattern, and joined them from the back with some scrap wood and screws we already had. Then, we applied that beautiful stain, screwed in the hooks, and boom, trash to treasure. Okay, so a jewelry holder is cool, but what else can you make? The possibilities are basically endless. Let me show you a few more things we whipped up from our salvaged wood pile. First up, check out this rustic modern serving tray. This was made from a single weathered fence board that was destined for a bonfire. The most challenging part here was dealing with how warped the wood was. I had to carefully plane it down, not with a fancy electric planer, but with a sharp hand plane, which is a great workout, by the way. The most satisfying part? Pouring this clear epoxy into the cracks and knotholes. It stabilized the wood and created these incredible river-like features. It went from a broken fence board to a centerpiece for a dinner party. Next on our tour of transformations is this set of floating bookshelves. These started as discarded 2x6 boards from a home renovation project down the street. They were covered in paint splatters, drywall, mud, you name it. The biggest challenge was getting them perfectly clean and square without losing too much of that beautiful aged character. I used a paint scraper and a lot of sanding to reveal the wood grain underneath. The most satisfying moment was mounting them on the wall. Seeing them float there, looking so sleek and strong, holding a stack of my favorite science books, it's just proof that even the most beat-up construction lumber has a secret life as high-end furniture. And for our final example in this lightning round, how about this little guy? A tablet and cookbook stand for the kitchen. This was made from the offcuts of an old oak shipping crate. It was tough, dense hardwood, so the biggest challenge was actually cutting it cleanly with just a handsaw. It took some patience and a straight edge to get the angles right for the stand. But the most satisfying part, without a doubt, was applying the final coat of food-safe mineral oil. Watching the oil soak in and instantly make that rich golden oak grain come to life was just incredible. It went from a splintery scrap piece to something you'd be happy to have on your kitchen counter every single day. Each of these projects presented its own unique puzzle. The warped fence board, the paint-covered 2x6s, the tough oak crate wood. They all had their own problems to solve. But that's part of the fun. It forces you to be creative, to think like an engineer, and to appreciate the material you're working with. The satisfaction comes not just from the final product, but from the process of overcoming those challenges and seeing the potential that was there all along. A little bit of effort completely changes the story of these pieces of wood. Now, you might be looking at these projects and thinking, sure, Alex, that's great, but I don't have a massive workshop filled with thousands of dollars in tools, and that is the best part, you don't need one. I did all of these projects with a basic, super affordable toolkit that you can assemble for, you guessed it, around 20 bucks, especially if you're smart about it. First up, a basic handsaw. You don't need a fancy Japanese pull saw. A simple hardware store saw will do the trick for making straight cuts. Next, a hammer and a small pry bar for dismantling pallets and removing nails. These are non-negotiable for salvage work. For smoothing and shaping, a sanding block and a variety of sandpaper grits are your best friends. This is where you shouldn't cut corners. Good sandpaper makes the job so much easier. But here's a pro tip. Instead of an expensive orbital sander, you can get amazing results by just wrapping a sheet of sandpaper around a flat block of scrap wood. It gives you a perfectly flat surface for sanding and saves you a ton of money. And for measuring and marking, a simple tape measure and a pencil are all you need. A combination square is a fantastic upgrade for about 5 bucks, and it will guarantee your cuts and corners are perfectly square every time. Let's talk techniques for prepping this so-called trash wood. Cleaning is step 1. A stiff wire brush is your secret weapon against caked-on dirt and grime. For anything more stubborn, like paint or stains, a simple paint scraper works wonders. You just apply a bit of pressure and scrape away the gunk. This is way faster than trying to sand it all off. Once it's clean, you need to flatten it. If a board is a little warped, you can try the wet towel and weight trick. Lay a damp towel on the concave side of the board and place heavy weights on top. Over a day or two, the wood can slowly pull itself back into a flatter shape. It's basic wood science. When it comes to finishing on a budget, you have so many options. You don't need expensive lacquers. A simple can of tung oil or boiled linseed oil can give you a beautiful, durable, and natural-looking finish for just a few dollars. And a single can will last for dozens of projects. Another brilliant hack? Make your own wood stain. You can literally use leftover coffee grounds or black tea to create a beautiful, aged-looking stain for free. For a weathered gray look, you can use a mixture of steel wool and vinegar. You let the steel wool dissolve in the vinegar for a day, and then wipe the solution onto the wood. It's a chemical reaction that ages the wood in minutes. It's pure science and it's awesome. So, you've followed the steps, you've put in the elbow grease, and now you have this awesome collection of handmade wood creations. What's next? The obvious answer is to use them to upgrade your own space. That serving tray instantly makes your coffee table look like something out of a magazine. Those floating shelves not only store your books but add a touch of architectural interest to a blank wall. The jewelry holder organizes your accessories and doubles as wall art. Integrating these pieces into your home isn't just about function, it's about surrounding yourself with stories. The story of that wood, and the story of how you gave it a new purpose. But what if you're not just decorating for yourself? These projects make for incredible, one-of-a-kind gifts. Think about it. Would you rather receive a generic mass-produced item or a beautiful handcrafted tablet stand that someone made specifically for you? A handmade gift carries so much more meaning. It says, I invested my time and creativity for you. You can even personalize them. Burn a friend's initial into the corner of that serving tray, or use a stain that matches their home decor. It's a level of thoughtfulness that money just can't buy, even though it cost you less than $20 to make. Now let's think even bigger. What if you get really good at this? What if you start making more than you can use or give away? You could be sitting on a legitimate side hustle. Platforms like Etsy, or even local craft fairs and farmers markets are full of people looking for exactly this kind of authentic handmade decor. Take good photos, write a compelling story about the wood's transformation, and you could easily sell that serving tray for 50 or 60 bucks. You're not just selling a product, you're selling sustainability, craftsmanship, and a unique story. You're turning a profit from something that was literally going to be buried in a landfill. Ultimately, this is all about changing your perspective. It's about training your brain to stop seeing trash and start seeing potential. That broken chair on the curb isn't just junk, it's a source of beautifully turned legs for a new plant stand. That old wooden ladder isn't garbage, it's a future blanket holder or a vertical garden. Once you flip that switch in your mind, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. It's a more sustainable, creative, and fulfilling way to interact with the world around you. You become a problem solver, a designer, and a creator, all by picking up a piece of would-be trash. So, there you have it. We took discarded worthless wood and proved that with a little bit of vision and less than $20, you can create things that are not just beautiful and useful, but also full of character and story. These projects are more than just home decor, they are trophies. They're physical proof that creativity is a more valuable resource than money. Every time you look at that serving tray or hang a necklace on that holder, you'll have that satisfying feeling of knowing, I made that, and I saved it from the trash. It's a feeling that you just can't buy from a store. Now, the ball is in your court. This video is the starting point, not the finish line. I want to see what you can do. What discarded wood have you found? What amazing ideas are percolating in your brain? Drop a comment below and share your own salvaged wood project ideas. Tell me about that cool pallet you found or that old fence you have permission to dismantle. Let's turn the comments section into a massive brainstorming session for turning trash into treasure. Your idea might be the spark that inspires hundreds of other people to start creating. And if you enjoyed this journey of budget building, you're definitely going to want to stick around. I've already started stockpiling some larger pieces of salvaged wood. I'm talking old beams and a massive tabletop for a future video where we'll tackle some more complex builds and dive deeper into joinery techniques without expensive tools. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Remember, the best things in life aren't just free. Sometimes, they're the things other people threw away. Now go out there, find some treasure, and build something awesome.